What's been the bounce back for this team coming off of two losses in a row now for the first time, another week of practice?
Yeah, I mean, bounce back. There's no crisis. There's no problems. We said nothing's broken. We just have to adjust a few things and fine tune a few things. And I wouldn't even call it going back to basics, but it's just to show the edge that we started off with in the first 5 games. So I mean, not to say we've lost the edge, but yeah, we want to bring up a little bit of the body language, a little bit of the chest out mentality, prove the world wrong mentality, and I think that's where we want to go back to.
And after back-to-back shutouts, is it just the numbers catching up? You were way above your expected goals early on, or are there things you'd like to see differently?
I think obviously the opposition you play, right? Adrian Heath's teams against Minnesota are very stout in their defensive responsibilities. Seattle hadn't conceded too many goals either. So, I mean, you're coming up against real strong opponents, and the upcoming opponent is no different because, they have 5 1-0 wins and 2 ties. So, I mean, again, the level of the MLS, and if any one of us thought it was any other than that difficult, this is what it is. It's really difficult to get points, whether you're on the road or, playing at home. And we know we're going to have an energized City Park and tons of fans coming to support us. And, we're going to need every ounce of energy and every ounce of spirit and connection, whether it's us on the field or with the fans. So, we need everyone on board for this one.
Bradley, Cincinnati has a lot of talent offensively, but has also been doing great defensively with 5 clean sheets. What kind of challenges can Cincinnati bring both offensively and defensively?
Yeah, I think personnel-wise, they have 1 or 2 question marks too, right? So, I mean, I think there's 2 different versions of what team Cincinnati will put out there. I don't know if their structure changes too much, but the dialogue, and maybe to go back to your question, the focus was on us this week, right? So not as much as the opponent. And for us, that's very important, right? To go back to who we want to be and who we are, right? So Cincinnati do pose a real good bunch of problems for us, which is a good thing to solve, and it's a good exercise for us, right? So, they have a really good midfield, right? They have a really strong attacking group. They're 3 up front, or Brandon Vasquez, Costa. We know he's struggling with his collarbone, so he's probably out. I'm not sure. I have no clue, no further information. So again, we don't really care if it's Angulo, then it's Angulo. Playing in the 10. We're not sure. And then Brenner, we know what Brenner can bring. Also a question mark. But again, there's so many things going on with the league at the moment, and everyone has all their own issues, So we have ours, they have theirs, and we don't want to, spend too much time with that. We'll wait till team sheets are announced, and then we can, plan or not plan accordingly. We can get to business.
With the news that Jabulu Blom's out for 5 to 6 weeks, are there any short-term injury replacements that you're looking to bring on the roster from City 2 or otherwise?
No, I think we've got 4 players for those 2 positions, right? So, I mean, at the moment, it's a Miggy Perez, Indy Vasilev, and Edu Leuven. So, we have a Kiel Watts as well, who's contributed key minutes. So we have these 4 players for those 2 positions, and we feel very comfortable with these guys at the minute. So I don't see any need, any panic attack to go and get something. I think we still have faith in what we have and, trust the people we have in our roster.
And then you played without Blom for a few games. You're used to having to game plan without him, but knowing he's out for an extended period of time, does it change anything tactically or how you approach the games?
No, I mean, each game unfolds in a different way, and each game gives its own picture story, right? When the whistle blows, because we all have these theories and tactical master plans of how the game will go before the game. Once the game starts, now you're just playing against each other, right? You're trying the chess match to get spaces and manipulate spaces as per the opponent, and that's the beauty of the game within the game, right? So I don't see that changing too much. For sure, it's a big blow for us because in terms of our principles, Jabulo plays in a certain way. But he obviously needs to get on the mend and recover well and be sharp and be hungry and make sure that when he does come back into action, that he's ready to go 100%. Yeah. I mean, it wasn't easy from his illness, then to, 1 or 2 little things going on before then, and then all of a sudden, on the turf in Seattle gets injured. So, yeah, he's just had a torrid time at the moment.
Coach, Cincinnati they've been pretty fluid and pretty solid with that 3 to 5 in the back formation switches and adjustments throughout the game. It's something you guys kind of tried out against Seattle as well. Do you guys plan to match them head on with that, or what are some things you're hoping to achieve to break them down offensively?
We've had a lot of tactical flexibility, right? From the start of the season till now, we've changed formations within the game. We've changed formations before the game. We've game planned against a certain opponent based on the player profiles, based on the collective, what we think that we feel the need to succeed on the day. So from that point of view, we feel that we have a good game plan in place. Whether it's 3 at the back or whether it's 5 at the back or whether it's 4 at the back, we'll be ready.
Coach, you mentioned getting a lift from the crowd. Go into that a little bit, will you? What are you expecting to feel when you take the
I
field?
think it's a unique experience so far where I've experienced that, the fans don't sit down, right? So this is one that's totally unique. And visiting City Park should mean something, right? For us, it should also mean something from an energy perspective and from a motivation perspective, right? So we need everybody in the house on our side, and we know we get this, right? We know that the city of St. Louis is buzzing with soccer and buzzing with what's going on right now and buzzing with the start that we've had, right? So, I wouldn't say that we've had, that we're having, right? So for us to continue that process, it's going to be a fun exercise come Saturday, because what a great moment for Pat Noonan too, to come back home to see what we got going on over here. So it's an incredible moment for him, and we're looking forward to hosting Cincinnati.
How's Rasmus Alm progressing, and is there any other injury-related news going into the weekend?
Yeah, JB picked up a bit of a stomach bug, so John Bell will be missing. Then obviously Joachim Nielsen continues his recovery, and then Rasmus Alm's doing really well. So he's just about ready to go. He's a potential starter for us on the weekend. So we're excited to have everyone who's eligible back on board, because that just sparks up the intensity just somewhat, right? We need everyone on board. We need everyone vying for positions. We need everyone wanting to start the game. And we know that there's only 11 starters, and we know we have a roster of 20 players. But I've had experience as a player on the outside looking in and on the inside looking out. And it's just you have different, certain chemistry between different player personnel at different moments of their progressions throughout a season. And the season is long. We need every single player. Open Cups in 2 weeks time or 10 days time or something. So it's just on our doorsteps, right? So we're going to need everyone fit, healthy and strong for the next couple of weeks going into the stretch.
A little bit of a different question. Last week in your old club, New York Red Bulls game, there was an incident on the field. Some people attribute it to cultural issues or lack of training and what's appropriate to say on the field and what's not. Does City have any kind of training or process to ensure that isn't on players' mind of what they're able to do?
Yeah, our process at the club is, we don't condone any form of racism, right? And what happened at Red Bulls, I think we're too far away in the Midwest here to know exactly, what went on behind closed doors or what went on that 20 minutes of chaos. Like, we cannot, I think we're the furthest ones to have any opinions or judgment. And, I think we'll best leave it at that, because, while we condone it and, would we have other restrictions to make sure that doesn't happen? Possibly, sure. Yeah.
John Nelson's contribution to this on left back, what has he brought just all on both sides of the ball to this team? Yeah,
listen, Johnny's he's a fearless customer, right? So he has confidence in his abilities, I see him a little bit like John Tolkien. Worked with John Tolkien at the Red Bulls, similar body composition, profile, good on the ball, left foot, has a good engine, can run up and down the lines, and he's very combative. So, he's doing really, really well. I think he leads our team in tackles and successful duels, if I'm not mistaken. So, he's leading by example. But Johnny's not just one-off. It's part of our principles, and he's adopted and applied our principles very, very well. So, as have a bunch of other guys in our team too. So it takes a collective to succeed, and Johnny's part of that collective within the group.
Coach, you mentioned a second ago about the Open Cup. Do discussions start happening about structuring minutes as you get to a point where you're looking at maybe multiple matches per week?
Yeah, for me, it's about winning your next game. I don't think we're in the business of being too flashy about what we're trying to do, and for sure we have confidence in everybody in our roster, but for us we think about the very next game, the very next 3 points, the very next if it's a cup game, we want to get to the next round of the cup. So we've got a couple of hurdles before the Open Cup game, and we'll tackle that, in due course.
Coach, news out of Cincinnati is that both Brenner and Acosta are potentially unavailable this weekend. How does that affect your game plan when such influential players are potentially not there that you've been looking at?
Yeah, I mean, we spoke about this 2 minutes before you arrived. And yeah, we went into the week. We went into the week thinking about us, right? So this week's about us, about who we are as a team, as players, as personnel, and as the collective, right? So we don't focus too much on them. For sure, they have good game-changing players, but so do we. We're excited about the game on Saturday. And we want to expect their best. And sometimes when they don't play with their best, they play better than their best because those guys are excited to get game minutes. So, we're not in the business to now underestimate anybody. I also said, they have a St. Louis coach coming to St. Louis. So I'm sure he'll fire them up accordingly. So yeah, we're expecting their best. All righty. Thank you. Ask all the questions about Johnny, and Johnny's sitting in the...
John, what's it been like this week for this team coming off of the Seattle game and now 2 losses in a row?
Yeah, it's been good. Obviously, we don't want to be 2 losses down, but I think Coach has done really well to get us ready and get us prepared. We don't want to fall, 3 losses now. That's not who we are. But it's been intense. It's been good. Like Brad was saying, we're gonna be ready for it. Whatever team they put out, we're gonna be ready.
You were in Cincinnati last year. What happened last year? Obviously, you weren't there the previous years where they were struggling, but last year it seemed like everything went great for them.
Yeah, I got back from my back surgery, and then ever since I was playing. I think I played in 24 games last year, right when I got back from the injury. So it was really well. The team started to do really well. Yeah, it was great. I got close with a lot of those guys, so it's going to be kind of funny to see them on the field Saturday.
Back to playing on the turf in Seattle last week. Is it on your mind when you're playing on that kind of surface throughout the game? Do you have to do mind checks to think, I can't do this, I'm on turf, et cetera? Does that ever happen?
During the game, no. For me personally, during the game, you're just focused on the game. Maybe in the moment, you really got to focus because the ball might bounce a different way. But no, during the game, no.
Knowing the players from Cincinnati so well, have you been asked to give any advice to your teammates or to the staff as far as their tendencies or anything that you can bring to that side?
Not too much. I guess the guys around me, like Kyle and Stroud, I'll give the tendencies of what the players around us. And then this morning with going over Cincinnati, I just kind of gave a few tendencies of the other team, like Acosta, Barriel. But other than that, no. Like Brad said, we're going to focus on ourselves.
Johnny, playing against your former team, is this a special game for you?
Yeah, no, it is. Like I said, I got close with a lot of those guys, and it's gonna be a good game. Obviously, they're, I would say, the best team in the league right now, and my former team, I wanna beat them pretty bad.
Hey, John, you and Jake looked pretty comfortable out on the wingback positions against Seattle. Is that something you guys, as like a fullback, right? When you're in the four, kind of a little bit more defensive. Do you get more excited? Do you get to be more attacking whenever you guys do get to be wingbacks, or is it really not change that much how you're thinking offensively?
Yeah, of course. With the wingbacks, you can get up there. You're in the box a bit more. Crossing, shooting, a bit more. But obviously in Seattle, it was tough for some moments because we were defending a bit. But we kind of knew that, and it was going to be a big task, and it was a lot of running, to be honest. But no, wingback for me personally, I know Jake likes it too. It's a fun position.
Has it surprised you how quickly you guys have gelled? Crosses into the box that knowing the guy's going to be there. Does that surprise you, or did you pick up on that right away?
I think I picked up that right away, especially in preseason with how close the team is on and off the field, and it, like you said, it gelled super quick. Starting in preseason and then the first few games, but no, I'm not too surprised.
Niko. Hey, brother. Just a quick question. What makes you so excited to play at City Park on Saturday?
Honestly, I think it's coming off 2 losses, and then it's just being able to beat one of the best teams right now in the league. And like I said, my former team, I wanna beat those guys. I want to beat them pretty bad. So I know City Park's gonna be rocking. I know we'll be ready.
You got any great Pat Noonan stories? What was he like? What did he do for you?
Pat was Pat was a really good guy on and off the field. He's more of a quiet guy. I don't know if you guys know him, but he's intense, which I like a lot. And it's going to be, I know he's going to be really excited to come back here, back to his hometown, St. Louis. But no, Pat was a really good guy. Like I said, after my surgery, they kind of took a risk on me because there wasn't really a chance I was going to be able to play again. So a lot of respect for Pat in that. Yeah.
But like a lot of St. Louis people, does he talk about St. Louis a lot?
He did not. He did not.
Anyone else? Johnny, thank you for joining us. We appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Niko, what's it been like in practice this week, or the mood within the team? You're coming off its first 2 losses now.
First day was tough. Tuesday was tough, but ever since Tuesday, it's been great. To be honest, we've completely turned our mentality around. 2 games are gone. There's nothing we can do about it. Learn from our mistakes, and there's still plenty of games ahead of us. So, just ready to go into the next one and do what we do best. It's of course always tough to come off 2 straight losses, especially starting with one at home and a shutout in Seattle. But you come back, it's a new week, a new day. Every day is a new day, and we're just there to be focused and to work on the next one.
Not only coming off 2 losses, but coming off 2 shutouts. Offensively, is there something different that needs to be done?
Just focus on the next game. Not dwell too much on the fact that we didn't score the last 2 games, but to be ready and to keep working this whole week on making sure that we can score goals this coming week. Maybe study the defense a little more, study areas where we can improve in finishing and positioning and in pressing, to create those opportunities as we had done the first 5 games. And it's something that all strikers go through I wouldn't say a drought because it's only been 2 games, but a period of more difficult matches to find opportunities to score. But it's up to us to make sure that comes to an end, and we're doing our best to do so.
Yeah.
So not just the past couple games for you, but Cincinnati, 5 clean sheets in 7 matches. How do you feel as a striker going into that? And do you have kind of like a chip on your shoulder to try and prove what St. Louis can do against one of the best defensive teams in the league?
No doubt. I have no doubt. A striker, there's no place in the mind for doubt. When you start doubting, that's where you create backlog and you start questioning everything you do. And there's no time for that. The season keeps going. We're encountering a great team. But, we encountered Seattle, which was a great team. We encountered, our first game was in Austin. It's a great team. We encountered several great teams. And we will continue to do so. And we just got to keep preparing ourselves to be better and better. Maybe the last couple games weren't good enough. Our positioning wasn't good enough. So to study those moments and make sure that we head into Saturday in a big home game to turn things around is something that we need to get to and be focused on.
Johnny?
Niko, what's up, man? So hopefully, get a few goals Saturday. Maybe I'll assist you. What's the goal celebration going to be like?
Hey, we all come together, man. Hey, we're one team. We're one team. So everyone's effort is what creates goals. Strikers don't score goals on their own. Everything is a puzzle. So each player is a piece. Each pass is a piece. But if you could get one in the box, a couple in the box on Saturday, that would be much appreciated.
You mentioned strikers' mentality. Who did you learn that from? Where did you learn that? Players, coaches? How did you get that strikers' mentality?
I think I was born wanting to be a striker. Scoring goals, assisting goals, being in front of goal is a glorifying feeling to me. But I think I reinforced it. I read I Am Zlatan book. Zlatan's my idol, so his mentality, what he went through, his whole career, his whole life has been an example for me. I know a lot of people don't like his attitude, but I personally, after having read his book, I think it's much deserved. So yeah. So if you have time to read I Am Zlatan, read it.
Hey, Niko, how big of an influence does the crowd play in your play style and in your energy? Because, off the pitch, you're cool, composed. But every time you get on the pitch, it's obvious you're just relentless and you're extremely passionate. So how big of an influence does that play on you, especially when you're playing at home?
Oh, as I've always said, the crowd is a big part of the game. There's no football, soccer without fans. I've just been a bunch of Sunday games, I think. So especially as a forward, as someone who's trying to score goals. You know, the crowd's boost of energy, their adrenaline, rushing screams are something that we always look forward to, and it really does make a difference. It does change the momentum of the game oftentimes, even though it may not look so, and it may not look like we pay attention, but it definitely is in our subconscious, and something that, you know, you hear over and over and over and over again throughout a game. Eventually it'll stick, and it'll push you to do even more and go further.
Do you feel has the level of scoring chances been good the last two games?
Obviously not as great as the first five, but you know, as I said, you go through moments where it's harder to create chances. You know, sometimes, obviously I've been up there with Klaus a few games now, and I've got to know him a lot. Some games it's easier to find. We also, in Seattle, had changed formation, so it's a little probably more difficult to adapt in such a short time. But you know, it's just, as I say, they're just tougher moments to score goals. The last couple of games, have been more difficult, but you know, Saturday's a new game, so maybe Saturday we create 10 chances, 5 each, or 7 to 3, and you know, the next question next week will be like, oh, so you created many more chances this game. What changed? You know, it goes from game to game. So you know, we'll see how it is on Saturday. But definitely my objective is to create as many chances as I can for myself and for Jean.
Did the two halves feel different in Seattle? In the first half, obviously they felt different because they scored 3 goals in the second half. But how different did it feel different out there?
The first half, we definitely were more disciplined. I wouldn't say our emotions changed, but our discipline, we were definitely more tough on ourselves and more, you know, mentally focused on what our principles were supposed to be. I feel like the second half, within 10, 15 minutes, we started to gap in certain areas. You know, it's a collective thing. I take part responsibility, and of course, I take actually full responsibility in many of the things we made mistakes on, because I did rewatch the whole game, and you know, that's how we improved. So I looked on what I messed up on, and a couple of the chances came from my mistake. Not necessarily losing the ball, but you know, tactical stuff. So yeah, you know, there was a change in the second half, but it happens. Key is to just stay focused this game for the whole 90 minutes. 90 plus minutes, because the games are never 90 minutes anymore. So let's say 97.
Did you go to the women's game on Tuesday?
Yes, I did.
How'd you like it?
It was actually my first time watching a women's game, and it was actually exciting. You know, I was expecting a little slower, but it was, you know, I see it a little slower than men's soccer, but it definitely was more than I expected. A couple of the young girls are pretty good, pretty fast, you know, pretty technical. I feel like women's soccer has gotten so technical that it was actually quite impressive. I remember watching on TV 2 World Cups ago, I believe, and compared to what the speed of play is now, there's been a huge improvement. So, you know, it was a pleasure to watch and to experience, especially as a national team player. You know, brings back some memories, but no, I was glad to be there and glad to watch.
Have you learned more about certain players and the way they've responded and reacted in these last 2 weeks? Can you see a different side of them, but that helps you in a way to get to know them better?
My teammates?
Mm-hmm.
Yes. You know, yes and no. No, just no, because I feel like we've really got to know each other very quickly. In the preseason time, we really got to understand who was who. I think the first few games was enough to study each one of us, and obviously we've had a pretty mixed starting 11 since the first game. So that's why I would say yes. You know, you've had different players in different areas, so you would have to adapt and see how they prefer to play. So, you know, the overall answer, I would say yes. You know, I've been able to, you know, personally learn more and more. Of course, we're always learning more about one another. So, you know, obviously I know now Johnny loves to cross. So, you know, my job now is to be a little more present in the box for him. You know, I know Jake is sometimes likes to find that inner pass. He alternates as well. So, you know, you do each game learn a little more depending on the circumstances around you, the teams you play. So yeah, I'd say every day, every game, you learn a little more about everyone around you.
Niko, you mentioned national team memories a little while ago, and the roster for the U.S. men's game against Mexico next week is a mostly MLS-based roster. Do you not being included, you've been playing pretty well, I would say. Do you not being included, does that kind of motivate you a little bit more? Does it give you a little bit boost, or do you not really worry about that type of thing?
Yeah, it is a motivator. Being called up is always an honor. But I'm still just 100% focused here. If I don't perform here, I have zero chances of heading to the national team. And I would head, if I ever did go to the national team having poorly performed here, I wouldn't go there confident. So, I once I saw the list, I just put out of my mind. It's okay. To the next one. There'll be future ones, so hopefully I'll be called to those. But all my focus is on Saturday, because that will bring me the most happiness, is to win that game.
We'll wrap up with Justin.
Yeah. Gio, to stay on the national team, you're asked to do a lot of different things here at City than you were, necessarily in your previous places. Do you feel like that helps you just get stronger, both tactically and positionally, for the national team if that comes?
Yes, and mentally. This game is a mental game at the end. So when you're mentally strong and you're mentally where you're supposed to be in terms of focus, concentration, and mood, the legs and tactics and everything else comes along. You see it with a bunch of players who one season they were struggling, next season they blow up. Everything's in here. So at the end of the day, you practice, but practice makes you proficient, not just in the legs, but mostly in the mind. So the main focus, I think a player should have, especially me, is to make sure my mind is where it's supposed to be before, during, and after the game.
Niko, thanks for your time.
Yeah.
Appreciate it.